organizer, March on Google. Working on that, trying to work on that. But as we see today, in the aftermath of Charlottesville, the completely outrageous conduct of the mainstream media, the completely irresponsible reporting by the mainstream media, they are now calling for terrorist attacks at the March on Google, a peaceful March on Google rally. Why is the mainstream media calling for terrorist attacks at the peaceful March on Google? I have submitted a code of conduct for the March on Google. I have submitted a complete condemnation and complete and utter disavowal of the scum of Charlottesville. However, the mainstream media has decided that they are going to turn around and say that our event is the next fight, that our event is the next battle. They want the March on Google. They're running breathlessly. And this is where I'm not even talking about like Think Progress or any of these crazy left-wingers. I'm now finding that it's places like Time Magazine, New York Magazine, the Pittsburgh Tribune, all these other places. They're saying, this is the next one. This is the next one. The Atlantic, this is the next one. That it's Jack Posobiec. He's the next one. This is where the next fight is. You've got to come down on Jack Posobiec. You've got to attack Jack Posobiec. You've got to do it. This is the next fight. 9 marches across the country that they've planned. We've got to go down. We've got to attack Jack Posobiec. We've got to get him. So what they do is they write all their articles out and say Jack Posobiec is planning the next white nationalist alt-right rally, right? When the alt-right hates me. The alt-right, the pathetic alt-rodents of the alt-right media won't talk about that. The mainstream media wouldn't care about that whatsoever. Whatsoever. The scum of Charlottesville doesn't care whatsoever. The scum of Charlottesville doesn't care about how this affects the wider movement. They don't care about the wider movement. All they care about is themselves. And the mainstream media is completely going in line with this. Steve Pieczenik, who you guys know Steve Pieczenik. He has an article out today talking about the fact that David Duke has been on the FBI payroll for years. And he then goes forward to say that it's likely that Richard Spencer is on CIA's payroll. And at this point, guys, we have to see what are we attempting to do? What are we attempting to do? These toxic losers, they have nothing to do with our march. These idiots, these doughboys that have never seen a push-up in their lives, that have never seen a push-up or a sit-up, like Jason Kessler or Richard Spencer, they have nothing to do with our event, but the mainstream media doesn't care. David Duke doesn't care. Doesn't care whatsoever. Yeah, kind of funny how all that violence happened, and not a single thing happened to David Duke, Richard Spencer, or Jason Kessler. Kind of funny how that works. Isn't that a little funny? Isn't it a little funny how all of this violence is going on, all these attacks are happening, but Spencer, Kessler, and David Duke somehow are all gone. They're all gone by the time this happens. Jason Kessler gets tackled by a woman. He was tackled by a woman at his own press conference the next day. We all saw that. In the flowers. He was walking through the flower beds and was tackled by a woman. Okay? That's the leader of the alt-lice, the alt-rodents. The alt-retards, okay? That's the leader. Okay. You know what? Maybe I'm just going to start calling myself a Republican again. It's gotten so bad. You know what? I'm just going to start calling myself a Republican again. You know what? I'm on the right. I voted for Trump. I've been a registered Republican since I was 18 years old. No, you know what? Let's go. Let's completely go at this point. It's gotten so bad. Yeah, I know we're the new right and all, but when it comes down to it, I've been involved in politics since about 2004. Okay, some of these people that are coming around these days, they were, I don't know what they were doing. They were in some ivory towers. I've been involved in politics since 2004. I was a conservative Republican. I worked with the grassroots. I worked with the RNC at the time. I did. It's all in my book. Everyone can say this. I've been around since 2004. I never heard of these alt-right losers until like yesterday, until like 5 minutes ago. They just came up on the scene. They haven't been around whatsoever. 2011, I was there 2011 with Donald Trump at CPAC. I was there with Donald Trump at CPAC in 2011 with the Draft Trump movement and Roger Stone, okay? That's where I was. Go back to 2011. Go back to 2006. Go back to 2005, 2004. Nobody actually has the kind of background that I do in politics because they don't care. Because they're turning around and jumping into this stuff. This guy, Jason Kessler, was an Occupy Wall Street organizer. An Occupy Wall Street organizer in a movement that was funded completely by George Soros. So this guy was an organizer for Occupy Wall Street, and now he's coming out in support of Trump or something? How does this make any sense? It's a plant. Simple. It's a plant. Then you come back around. What did I do after that? What did I do after I worked in conservative politics? I went and joined the military. How many people involved in this movement are actually military veterans? People that can come around and say, you know what? I raised my hand. I put my hand on the Bible. I swore an oath of, no, I didn't put my hand on the Bible. That's not true. I didn't do that. But I did raise my hand, and I swore an oath to protect and defend the United States Constitution. Okay? That's what I did. But these people, but the media wants to run around, and they're not saying this is a rally that's organized by a Republican and a veteran. Oh, no, no, no. They're trying to say that we are completely in cahoots, that we're tied in with the losers and the toxic alt-rodents. They're trying to turn around and say that we're organized and in cooperation with these guys who are complete plants, completely out of nowhere. I never heard of them before. I'm never going to hear them again because all they are doing is they're going around ruining the Trump movement, going around making trouble for President Trump. That's who these guys are. That's who these plants are. See, when it comes down to it, Antifa and these guys are paid for by the same people. That's what it clearly seems to be going on. It clearly seems to be that their ends and Antifa's ends are the same. They're simply the same. And they're stringing people along behind them. They're stringing people along who have an agenda. They have a complete anti-Trump agenda that they are going around. Yeah, Atlantic is giving these guys if these guys are so bad, if these guys are so negative, why does the mainstream media keep giving them a platform? If the mainstream media didn't care about them, these would just be a couple of nut jobs on the side of this. They were trying to get me to come to this rally in Charlottesville. I refused. They were trying up until the last minute to get me to come speak in Charlottesville. I could show you the text messages. I could show you the emails. I could show you all of that stuff. All right? And I'm going to talk about this in 4D Warfare. I'm already writing a new chapter for 4D Warfare right now about all of this. Because I can show you how they tried to set me up. I could show you the text messages and the emails. I have all of it where people were saying, Jack, we want you to come speak. It's not going to be like it was before. It's not going to be this. It's not going to be that. And don't worry, Jack. It's going to be fine. No, I'm sick of your crap. You guys are poison. You're literally cancer. You're literally cancer. Richard Spencer is literally cancer. David Duke is literally cancer. Jason Kessler is literally cancer. You're all literally cancer. How about that? Big if true. Big if true. You're all literally cancer. You're all literally cancer. Yeah, they're going to be using this They're going to be, and now the mainstream media is using this to try to give me cancer and try to give cancer to my organization and try to give cancer to all the hard work that I have done for the March on Google. The March on Google isn't even political. It's not even really a political thing, you know? The politics of it are, this is a big tech organization that's clamping down on freedom of speech. Simple. This is big tech trying to shut us down. This is big tech trying to stop us. Why does Jake Tapper always talk about Dickie Spencer? About Ricky? Should we call him Dickie Spencer or Ricky Spencer? Why is Jake Tapper always talking about Tricky Ricky Spencer? Why is Jake Tapper always trying to build this guy's profile up? Why is Jake Tapper always trying to build up the organizational and nomenclature and the knowledge of Tricky Ricky Spencer? Why? Because they want the ratings. They want the fight. Because they want the attention. Because they want someone to be their enemy that they can go against. So they prop them up, they build them up in their platforms, and then stuff like this happens. Yet none of it ever seems to come down on them. None of it ever seems to come down on these people. It always comes down on the people that are caught in the middle. But the leaders always somehow are just magically whisked away when all of the trouble actually starts. You notice that? And all the people that they've brought stringing along and then radicalized up with their insane ideology. How many of you guys know? Let me tell you this one. Let's go out here for a second. How many of you guys know that Tricky Ricky Spencer isn't a conservative? How many of you guys know that Tricky Ricky Spencer is a big government liberal? How many of you guys know that? Why doesn't he? How many people know that he's that he's a socialist, that he in the past had written for Marxist organizations, that he know from the past that creepy Ricky Spencer, very creepy Ricky Spencer, was writing for pro-socialist Marxist organizations, that he's always been a Marxist, he's never disavowed Marxism, he's always been on the left. He is a leftist. He is a big state government leftist. And now he's tying this white nationalism into that. But what it comes down to is the guy has nothing to do with conservatism. He's not a small government guy. He's not for lowering taxes. He's never said one word about Obamacare or socialized medicine or anything like that. He is quite simply a liberal. He is a liberal. He is a big government liberal. So it doesn't surprise me that his little buddy over there that he's getting in bed with, Jason Kessler, is an Obama supporting Occupy Wall Street organizer. Why are a liberal? Okay, now go with me on this. Go with me a step further. Because I'm doing the job of the mainstream media. I'm doing the job of the mainstream media that they won't do. The mainstream media, all they are at this point is corruption against Donald Trump, corruption against conservatives, corruption against the conservative movement. I've always described myself as a conservative. Why do you never hear those guys describe themselves as conservatives? Ever. Ever at all. Ever. Because they're not. Because they're big government liberals. They are liberals. They are liberals. They want a bigger government. They want higher taxes. They want Marxism. But in their crazy, twisted way, they only want Marxism, and then they only want it for like white people or something. So why would people who are Marxist grifter losers that were working for the Occupy movement, that were then turning around and going to say suddenly they support Trump? Where did that come from? How did they go from that to because that's what it is, right? It's National Socialism. National Socialism. These guys believe in National Socialism, okay? So people have forgotten. People have forgotten that that is leftism, that that is liberal, that that is a left-wing organization. National Socialism is still socialism, guys. It's liberal, okay? It's liberal. Liberal. This is part of all of it. This is part of the New World Order. This is part of George Soros. This is part of globalism. This is all of it. So they're trying to paint themselves as being on the right when we know they're on the left. The media is trying to promote themselves as, promote these groups as being as on the right, but we know they're on the left. Okay? They're all on the left. They're liberals. I don't care who they said they voted for. Why did the KKK donate $20,000 to Hillary Clinton's campaign? Are we going to ever hear the media ask that question? Why did the KKK donate to Hillary Clinton's campaign? And then when they actually went and interviewed the guy from the KKK down in Florida, the actual Klan member, they said, "Who do you support?" And he said, "We support Hillary Clinton 100%. We support Hillary Clinton 100%. The KKK themselves said it. See, the media will turn it. The media is only the ones who ever say that the KKK supports Trump. And let me tell you something. I was looking at that rally down there in Charlottesville. I wasn't there. I was in Atlanta, literally sitting next to Pastor Mark Burns. Adam Gingrich was there. Roger Stone was there. Tanya Tay was there. It was great. We were down in Atlanta. We had a good time. But anybody else? Anybody else? Did you see any American flags there? Did you see any American flags at that event? Did you see any Trump flags or MAGA hats? Any of it? All you saw was neo-Nazi iconography, this hard, extreme fringe group type stuff. Nothing. No American flags. It was Confederate flags. Again, historical, yes. Losing side, also yes. My thing, look, my whole thing, and let's even talk about the statues for a second. Let's talk about this. Oh yeah, you're right. People are saying the only American flags yesterday were the ones that Antifa was burning. That's true. The only American flags were the ones that Antifa was burning. That's very true. That's very true. Yeah, guys, what is alt-right? What is the alternative to right? It's right there in their name. What is the opposite of right? What is the opposite of right? Guys, tell me. What is the opposite of right? What is the opposite of right? If you're alt-right, that means you're not right. What is the opposite of right? If you're not right-wing, you are, what's this one over here? If you're not right-wing, you're left-wing. You're left-wing. They're the all, it's so stupid. It's like, it's right there in the name. It's literally right there in the name to say that they're on the left. They're telling you they're on the left, but you're looking at it and you're seeing it as different. They're literally telling you they're on the left, but the media doesn't care. So it's yeah, no, I'm not on the left, I'm just opposite right. Wait, what? No. It's like, are you going to make a left turn or a right turn? It's one or the other. It's literally one or the other. It's literally one or the other. Literally, it's identity. Here's what it is, guys, because they're preaching identity politics. And identity politics always ends up in the same place. It always ends up in a place. Look at Rwanda. Look at the Hutus and the Tutsis. All right? Look at that. Look what happened in Kigali, in Rwanda. Look at any of this stuff. I've actually spoken with, believe it or not, I've spoken with Romeo Dallaire, the general who was, I don't talk about this stuff much. Maybe I should talk about it more. I've spoken with Romeo Dallaire, who was the leader, General Dallaire, who was the leader of the UN peacekeeping force during the Rwandan genocide. Okay? Genocide is actually something I know a lot about. And I'm telling you right now that it starts with identity politics. And he broke it down to me very, very straight. Because I was doing a report on it. It was for a college project. I reached out to him, got in touch with Romeo Dallaire. It was excellent. The guy was very smart about it. But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the other thing about Romeo Dallaire, and you guys can go look this up. His book, Shake Hands with the Devil. Go read it. Go read it right now. Or go watch Hotel Rwanda. Don Cheadle, yeah, he's an idiot when it comes to politics, but go watch Hotel Rwanda if you want to see what happens when identity politics runs its course, okay? When identity politics runs its course, then you get Hotel Rwanda. That's what happens. So Romeo Dallaire was, and these Hutus and the Tutsis, you couldn't even tell them apart. You couldn't, I mean, you would look at them and you couldn't tell the difference between a Hutu, a Tutsi, and a Hutu. You couldn't tell the difference. They had to have these identification cards, which is the only way to tell what tribe they're in. That's how stupid this got. And that's what's happening with the left and right now. That's what they're trying to make happen. By they're taking these fringe groups, they're taking fringe groups, and then they're planting them and saying, these are the ones on the left, and these, like Antifa, and then these are the ones on the right, like Richard Spencer, David Duke, and Jason Kessler, and they say, and then these groups, they build up their organizations, they get them to fight each other, and then they try to drag the rest of us into it. They try to drag the rest of us into it, and that is what happened in Rwanda that led to genocide. That is what happened in Ukraine that led to the deep state coup of Ukraine, the globalist coup, New World Order coup of Ukraine. We're seeing it laid out. We're seeing the exact same types of the playbook. We're seeing the exact playbook being played out. What they tried in Ukraine is the same thing they're trying here. It's obvious. It's obvious. All credit to Lee Stranahan. He did a great job. Excuse me, I don't know what that was. He did a great job of laying this out over the weekend. All credit to him for pointing that out, pointing the finger, because that's where it was. That's exactly where it was. Watched his Periscope, shared it out. Very, very good. Big if true. Big if true. Big if true. Right there. Big if true. Cold Jack. These are from the Cold Jack company. Not my company, but it's called Cold Jack. It's called Cold Jack. What I got in there? I've got some got Powerade Zero in there. Got Powerade Zero in there. Got an interview coming up in about 10 minutes, so I got to run in a minute. Yeah, it is my pimp goblet. That's true. It is. Got my pimp. The Big of True pimp goblet is right here. This is the Big of True pimp goblet. Everybody knows it. All right, it's it right there, with Powerade Zero on the inside. Oh yeah. So here's what else is going on. One thing I want to say as well about these statues, about the Confederate statues. It's a thorny issue, right? It's a thorny issue. Because on one hand, it's American history, right? And on the other hand, you've got a lot of groups that say, hey, these people are, why do we have these statues up? These people were a side that lost, they were rebels, they were against our government, anti-America, right? How many American flags did the Confederates burn? How many American flags were burned by the Confederates, okay? So I can understand points on both sides. So typically where I come down on is, look, couple things here, couple things. It is still history, and I'm not for destroying history. But at the same time, I can see why people say, hey, we don't want to be honoring this. We don't want to be saying we support this still. Okay. Well, that's what museums are for. That's why we have museums. We have museums. We go to them to remind you of things that happened in the past. We have museums to say, you know what? This is why we come here. This is why we did this. This is what happened. You put it in a museum. You put it in a respectful way, in a way that's not, degrading to anybody whose family served or anything that they went through. You have a nice museum in there. That's it. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. You have a museum. Anyone who wants to support it, okay. Anybody who wants to support it, the museum, they can donate money to the museum, run it as a nonprofit, a historical museum, Sons of the Confederacy, Daughters of the Confederacy, that sort of thing. Obviously, this is me speaking as a Northerner. not not a Southerner. Full disclaimer: had people on my side who did vote, or excuse me, who did fight for the North. My ancestors fought for the Union, and my ancestors fought against the Nazis. Okay, so let's when it comes down to it, I'm from Pennsylvania. All right, like it is what it is. My grandfather fought against the Nazis, and my I guess great grandfather fought against the Confederates. Simple. It's simple. I can because here's the other thing too. And that's what you say from a historical context. Yeah, people mention George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. Well, guess what? George Washington's Mount Vernon is a private organization, a private historical organization. Thomas Jefferson's Monticello is a private historical organization that funds itself. It takes in donations, okay? They're not funded by tax dollars. They're not funded by governments, all right? Not funded by government. So they're there as historical observations, historical remembrances of what they were. Simple. Absolutely simple. Absolutely simple. Simple way to deal with it. And guys, when it comes down to it too, when it also comes down to it, here's a point. Here's a point as well that I want to talk about. How many people at that Charlottesville rally were from Charlottesville? How many people at that Charlottesville rally were from the town of Charlottesville? Okay? You're going into somebody else's town and telling them what they should do with their town. Okay? And I'm not saying that you don't have any good points, but I always come down on the side of local versus national, local versus anything else. So if your local town is saying that you want to put up the statues you want to put up and you don't want to have the statues you don't want to have, and there's a vote on it, then why should people from outside of that town then come into the town and tell them what to do and tell them how to run their town? Okay, explain that to me. How do you have a right to go to somebody else's town and tell them how to run it and tell them what they should do with their tax dollars? How many of those people that wanted the statues to stay up said, look, I'm telling you, change the way you think about this stuff? What if those people that came out and said they wanted to preserve the statues instead set up a 501c3, a nonprofit, and said, hey, let's all take donations. We will purchase the statue from the state or the city of Charlottesville. We're going to have a museum. It's going to be right down here. We want the statue moved. We want to put it in our museum. We want to have it up there because we're going to raise money for it, and that's what we're going to do. Why couldn't they do that? Why was it so important for there to be this rally? Why was it so important for them to have these marches and these rallies and everything else? Okay? Because they wanted the violence. I'm telling you, this is where the false flagging comes in. This is where the plants come in. Because because they're trying to get you wrapped up in this freedom of speech, march for history kind of thing, but when it's not really about that. If you want to preserve the statue, is the best way to do it to have a march of people that come in? How many people were not from Charlottesville, and how many people were from Charlottesville? If you flew to Charlottesville or took a bus to Charlottesville, guess what? You're a protester that was bussed in. You yourself are a protester that was bussed in or flown in. You are not from that town, period. You're not from there. Simple. Simple logic. Simple logic and common sense. Simple logic and common sense. But no, we can't have simple logic and common sense. Because if the best way to deal with it was to simply hold a 501c3, and have a nonprofit and actually go in and deal with that stuff, no. But because they made it about identity politics, they took logic and reason out of it, and that's why they put it in. That's why they did what they did. I do have an interview. I have an interview right now. It's going to be about 1 minute. I'm being on Hagman Report. So going on Hagman Report very soon. Thank you so much, guys, for being on. I say, why not have museums? If you want to preserve them, have museums. And you guys put up the money for it. You guys put up the money for it right there. Simple. Simple. Yeah, am I a plant? I like that. Jack is a plant from God. Jack is a plant from God. Yeah, I'm a Christian guy. I'm a Christian guy. I'm here. The only person that I say has sent me would hopefully be Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian. That's who I am. Tanya Tay and I met at a Christian Bible study. Okay, Tanya Tay and I met at a Bible study. All right, you know, I tell people about this all the time. And they're like, especially in DC, they're like, oh, you guys met at a Bible study. Well, you're one of those. You're a Christian. Ooh, we don't like those. Those are weird. Those are strange. No, we married yet? No, technically we're not married yet. We did our engagement ceremony, our engagement photos. Not married yet. We are going to hopefully later this year. Going to be announcing a date very soon. A lot to work on. A lot going on. But in the middle of all of that, we're going to be getting married. We're going to be getting married. Maybe we'll do a Periscope on that. All right. Take care, guys. Much love to you all from the conservative, Christian, Republican, Trump-supporting Jack Posobiec.